Hi, if you want to hear about a great old movie I used to watch all the time as a kid, then stay tuned because I'm going to tell you all about it. Well, I'm Shark, Whitebeard here at Shark's Tavern, and the movie I'm talking about is a movie called The Vikings. It was made back in 1958, starring Kirk Douglas, Tony Curtis, Janet Leigh, Ernest Borgnine, and it's a great movie, and it kind of explains the whole situation of the Vikings up in the north, and they started coming down in their ships and raiding mostly like England and different places like that. And the people were so terrorized when the Vikings showed up, and they even wrote poems and everything else about the Vikings and how terrible they were and how fierce they were. And that started where in England they started building castles against the Vikings mostly to kind of defend themselves, and kind of started the feudal system that maintained itself for quite a while after that. The whole thing, it was filmed on location, it's in full color, it's a great movie. They said they went in search for a fjord where they built this Viking village up in this fjord up in like in Norway or somewhere like that to film it. They have a big old, they have the Viking village they set up. They also got they got like a waterfall coming down, and they even brought in like these little Icelandic ponies to show the Vikings riding these when they show up, and they're blowing this horn, and here comes the Viking ships come in with they put the sails up, and they're rowing their oars to row the ships in one part of the movie. And one of the parts is they're showing the tradition that they had stuntmen that were trained, that when the ships are rowing in, they pulled the oars straight out, and they had these stuntmen that were trained to run across the oars and then jump back in the ship. Jump one from one end, run across the oars, and jump back in. And they said when they were filming that, Kirk Douglas, being a young man as he is and pretty athletic, he insisted, hey, he jumped out and started doing it too. And he went across like a couple times without falling in or anything. And he's supposed to be the son of the chieftain, so he's kind of like somebody pretty cool and everything, and everyone's looking at him and laughing, having a great old time. And at one point they said they didn't have it planned, and one of the oars breaks, and Kirk Douglas almost fell in the water, and they grab him, they pull him into the Viking ship. And they kept it in the movie, and they said that wasn't planned at all, and the director, producers were saying, wow, you know, if he would have fell in and got sick, it would have really messed up the whole movie because we couldn't have made the rest of the movie. But he pulled that one off. They have one scene where they got like these falcons and these hunting hawks, and they have them on their arm, and they're chasing pigeons and stuff. A great thing is that here's Kirk Douglas, and he's the son of the chieftain, and then Tony Curtis was captured as a child in a raid, and he's a slave, and no one knows where he came from or who he is or what his origins are. And he's a slave, and at one point he mouths off to Kirk Douglas, and Kirk Douglas like smacks him across the face or something, and kicks him and knocks him down. And he has his hunting falcon, and he goes, kill, and the falcon jumps and rips the side of Kirk Douglas' face off. So he wears this big old patch over the side of his face in the movie, and his eyes poked out and stuff. It's kind of I don't know how realistic the falcon guys would do that, but it was cool in the movie. And they captured Janet Leigh, who looks awesome. She's really young, small, petite. She's a little princess, English princess. She's supposed to marry one of the English kings, so they're going to hold her for ransom. But of course, she falls in love with Tony Curtis, who's nothing but a slave, but he does all kinds of stuff and wins the day and wins her love at the end. And then they come to find out that Ragnar, who's Ernest Borgnine, was the chieftain, that he had captured this English queen and he ravaged her, and that actually Tony Curtis is Ragnar's half son, or it's his son. He's half brothers with Tony Curtis, and that he's actually has a claim to the throne, one of the English thrones. So he's actually a king that no one knew about. So it's kind of a cool movie, great plot. They do the running on the oars. They do a lot of axe throwing. They're carrying these Viking axes, and they're throwing them in battle, and they're throwing them in for sport when they're having their big old parties and stuff. They're drinking and everything else. They at the end they show a Viking funeral, and they put the guy into this small Viking ship, and they launch it out, and he's all wrapped up there. And then they start shooting flaming arrows into it, and as it floats into out into the fjord, it catches on fire, and that's like the Viking funeral for a chieftain when he dies. They go into the fact that every Viking had to die with a sword in his hand, or else he would not go to Valhalla. And as long as they die with a sword in their hand, they would be admitted to Valhalla, which is like their version of heaven. And there's great parts. There's one where, you know, spoiler here, but Ernest Borgnine gets captured by the English, and they're going to throw him into this pit full of ravaged wolves growling and everything else. And he's not afraid to die or anything, but he's afraid, he just, please let me die with the sword in my hand. And at some point, somebody gives him a sword, and he jumps in, willingly jumps in, and you hear the wolves just tearing him apart, but he don't care. He has a grin on his face when he does it. So that's their version of where they're going in the afterlife, that they were a good Viking here in this life. So it's a great movie to get a chance, 1958, called The Vikings. If you like more videos like this, please subscribe, share, like, give me a thumbs up, post a comment. Thank you very much.